I'm absolutely heartbroken by what has happened at Grenfell Tower in London. Not only because it was a catastrophic loss of life, but also because it was an entirely preventable tragedy that was caused by neglect, greed, and Tory austerity. Now, as a former speaker mentioned, some people are saying that we should not politicise what has happened. What sanctimonious idiocy! This entire tragedy has come about as a direct result of political decisions. So how dare those people say, do not politicise, when the survivors, their friends, their families and the community at large are themselves speaking in the clearest possible terms about the political decisions that led to so many working class people, our brothers and sisters, to burn and suffocate to death. So why did this happen? Well, it happened because Kensington and Chelsea, as well as being one of the richest parts on the globe, also has some of the poorest people in our country. It's a symbol of grotesque inequality. Grenfell residents had gotten together to raise fire safety concerns to their landlords, Kensington and Chelsea Tenant Management Organisation, and they'd repeatedly warned that something like this could happen. And I want to just read what they said, because they did predict this. It is a truly terrifying thought, but the Grenfell Action Group firmly believe that only a catastrophic event will expose the ineptitude and incompetence of our landlord, the KCTMO, and bring an end to the dangerous living conditions and neglect of health and safety legislation that they inflict upon their tenants and leaseholders. We believe that the KCTMO are an evil, unprincipled mini-mafia. What harrowing, prophetic words. But it just goes to show the entirely political and class nature of this, and the fact that it was totally avoidable. But according to some, these were just the residents of a tower block complaining as they always do. Well, I guarantee you that those safety concerns were met in the luxury flats made for the super rich. I guarantee you that they had sprinklers and alarms that worked properly and fire extinguishers. I guarantee you that those residents didn't have their homes made into a death trap by placing flammable plastic cladding across the entirety of the building, simply so that it was less of an eyesore for the rich residents of Kensington and Chelsea. Cladding that is banned in both the United States and Germany for being dangerous in high-rise buildings. Now, in the wake of this, we have to remain angry, and we have to make continuous demands. Firstly, that every single surviving resident is rehoused within their borough of Kensington and Chelsea, and if that's not possible through existing social housing, then the assets of the super rich must be requisitioned and the Grenfell Tower residents must be rehoused in them. Because it's perfectly possible and legal to rehouse every single Grenfell Tower resident within their borough. But the local authority and the government simply need the impetus to act. And the only way they're going to get that is through sheer, continuous people power. So we have to be clear about finding out the truth about what happened in Grenfell, because justice must be delivered and those criminals have to be brought to account. And it's not much that we're demanding. We want justice. What do we want? Justice. What do we want? Justice. What do we want? Justice. And we must also demand the installation of fire sprinklers and working fire alarms in all tower blocks right way across the country. No more cutting corners when it comes to the poorest in our society. It isn't much to demand that our fellow brothers and sisters' homes are safe for them to live in. That should be a basic human right, and the Tories need to be reminded about that. And finally, we must not only demand Theresa May's resignation, but we must also demand another election so we can finally put an end to the greed and austerity that's pervading throughout this country. We have to dismantle the foundations that are propping up these people. No more of rich Tory landlords rigging the system for themselves and their friends. No more cutting corners when it comes to the safety and dignity of working class people. We need to return to a compassionate society that cares for the poorest and most vulnerable in our country. Because these tragedies do not need to happen. They can stop, and they will. Never forgive, never forget, never again. Stay angry, because we've got work to do.